Hey folks, welcome back to True Crime Stories, where we cover the most thrilling true crime stories. Before we get going, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for me. Thanks. And now let's get into today's story.
All right, get ready, because today we are really going to dive deep into a case, um, and it's like a classic whodunit kind of case. We're talking small town secrets, a missing person, and an antique clock that holds more than just time.
Oh, sounds intriguing.
It is, so just picture this, Eldridge Falls. It's nestled in the Appalachian foothills. It's autumn, so the leaves are turning, and the town is having their annual harvest festival. There's that sense of warmth and community, that like classic small town charm.
Yeah, I get it. And it's that contrast that makes it so interesting, right? That juxtaposition between the idyllic facade and the darkness lurking beneath. That's what makes these kinds of cases so interesting, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. The stage is perfectly set for a mystery. And right at the center of it all is Henry Kincaid, the town's clockmaker. He's well respected, but there's a sadness about him. 15 years ago, his wife, Leela, just vanished. No trace. It's a wound that's never quite healed, for him or the town.
Yeah, I see the unsolved disappearance, the lingering questions, the whispers, especially in a place like Eldridge Falls where it seems like everyone knows everyone else's business.
Oh, for sure. So, get this. During the festival, Henry's going to unveil this antique grandfather clock that he restored. And rumor has it that it belonged to one of the town's founders.
Oh, wow.
So there's already a lot of intrigue, right? But then we've got Grace Miller entering the picture. She's a college student, and she's back in town to apprentice under Henry. She also happens to be fascinated by Leela's unsolved case.
Oh, how interesting. The aspiring watchmaker drawn into this web of mystery. But what I find really interesting is that she's apprenticed to Henry, Leela's husband.
Sure.
Talk about being close to the source.
Right, and some people are even whispering that she might be determined to uncover the truth no matter what.
Determined to uncover the truth.
Yes, but Grace isn't the only one with secrets.
Oh.
Oh yeah, there are a lot more characters we need to keep an eye on. Okay, well, there's Detective Isaac Reeds. He's a seasoned investigator, about to retire, but you can tell he's not ready to hang up his hat just yet. He's seen it all, and he's not going to let this case slip through his fingers.
I see. The experienced detective haunted by unsolved cases. I love that.
That's great, right? And then there's Jason Rivers, the local handyman. He's got a kind of shady past. Harry gave him a job, gave him a chance, but not everyone trusts him.
Oh, I bet.
He always seems to be lurking in the shadows, which never looks good in a crime story, does it?
Definitely not. It's that classic trope, the outsider, the reformed criminal,
Totally.
trying to rebuild his life, but everyone judges him by his past.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder if the author's playing with our expectations here, leading us down a familiar path only to switch it up later.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, and we can't forget Clara Thompson. She's Grace's childhood friend. She's the town librarian.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so she's like a walking encyclopedia of local history. She might know a little too much about the secrets in Eldridge Falls.
The keeper of knowledge, the one who holds the keys to the past. I love it.
I know, it makes you wonder what she knows. Okay, so picture this. The festival's in full swing. Henry's about to show off the clock he restored, and then, bam! Sudden power outage. The entire town is plunged into darkness.
Ooh, classic. The blackout.
I know. Creates that instant suspense, doesn't it?
Yeah, a sense of vulnerability, and gives someone cover to commit a crime.
Right, like the author's saying, hold on tight, things are about to get real.
Hmm.
So in the chaos, somebody's seen sneaking into Henry's workshop. When the lights come back on, there's a scream. Yeah, Claire's found, hurt, inside the workshop, and the clock gone.
Oh my gosh. What a turn of events. The theft, the attack, it's also pangled. What stands out to you as the most significant detail?
Well, right before she lost consciousness, Clara whispered one word. Leela. Chilling, right?
Oh, wow. That connects the current crime to Leela's disappearance.
Exactly. It makes things way more complicated for the investigation.
Yeah, absolutely. It raises so many questions. Was Clara attacked because she was close to figuring out what happened to Leela? Or was the clock the real target, and Leela's name was just to throw everyone off?
It's a good question. And obviously, the whole town is in an uproar. They've got another mystery to solve, one that's even closer to home than the last. So Detective Reeds, being the dedicated officer he is, immediately starts investigating.
I bet he's got his work cut out for him.
Oh, yeah. Tons of suspects, the whole town gossiping, and this unsolved case that's haunted him for years.
All that pressure.
I know. It's a lot.
So where does he even begin? Who are the main suspects?
Well, Henry's an obvious person of interest, right?
Mhm.
He was married to Leela. The clock was stolen from him. It kind of all points to him, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can see that.
But then there's Jason, the handyman. Remember his shady past? Well, it turns out he was seen hanging around the workshop just before the power went out. And his alibi? Not so great.
Ooh, maybe a red herring? Or is he?
Yep.
That's what I love about these mysteries, never know who to trust.
For sure. But wait, we can't rule out Clara either. She was attacked, yeah, but she's also super into the town's history.
Right.
What if she found something she wasn't supposed to? Something dangerous.
The historian who gets too close to the truth, a classic.
I know. Oh, and Detective Reeds has a couple more people he's looking at. Rita Caldwell, she's an antique dealer, and she and Henry are rivals. Some people think she might have wanted the clock for herself. And then there's Gregory Finch, the town historian. He knows everything about Eldridge Falls, but some people think he's hiding things.
A town full of suspects, each with their own secrets. It's a recipe for a captivating mystery. But before we get too far into the investigation, what about forensic evidence? What kind of clues did they find at the crime scene?
Well, they found blood, fingerprints, even footprints. And guess what? They found Jason's fingerprints all over a wrench that was taken from Henry's workshop.
Interesting. So we've got physical evidence linking Jason to the crime scene. But is it proof he did it? Or was he set up?
That's the question. Meanwhile, Grace is doing some detective work of her own. She's obsessed with Leela's case, so she starts looking through local archives and Henry's notes. She even finds a letter from Leela.
Oh, what does it say?
Well, it hints at some secret connected to the antique clock.
Interesting.
She's working right under Henry's nose, so you can imagine how tense it is.
Definitely.
I mean, in her eyes, he's both a victim and a suspect.
Yeah, I see that.
And get this, Grace is about to make a discovery that changes everything. She finds a secret compartment in the clock based on a clue from Leela's journal.
Oh.
Inside, she finds documents, and they reveal a conspiracy. It turns out the town's founding families were involved in some shady business and illegal antique trade.
Wow. A conspiracy, hidden documents. So many questions. How far does this go? Who else is involved? And what does it have to do with Leela's disappearance?
We're about to find out. This is where it gets really good, Wayfalple. Detective Reeds, with his new info, confronts Gregory Finch, the historian.
The confrontation. The moment of truth. What happens next? Does he crack under pressure?
You'll have to wait till part 2 to find out.
Ugh, the suspense. You're killing me.
Yeah, so it makes it a good story, right?
Yeah.
Leaves you wanting more.
True, true. Welcome back, everyone. So last time, we left off with Detective Reeds ready to confront Gregory Finch, the town historian. With that info Grace found about the founding families and the illegal antique trade.
It's intense, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's a small town, and Finch is this well-respected guy, the one who knows all the history. It's hard to believe he'd be involved in anything shady.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting, right? It challenges our assumptions about trust, about who holds the power, and how easily they can misuse it. So, tell me, what happens when Finch is confronted with this evidence?
Okay, well, it's not what you'd think. He doesn't deny it. Instead, Finch confesses.
He confesses.
Yeah, the whole thing. He says he made Leela disappear all those years ago to protect the town's reputation. He didn't want her to expose the whole conspiracy. He even admits to taking the antique clock, says he needed to sell it to keep everything buried.
Wow, a full confession. It makes you think, though, what kind of pressure was he under to do something so extreme? And why take the clock now, so many years later?
I know, right? It doesn't really make sense. Stealing the clock just brings more attention to everything.
Unless there was something special about it, something more than just the money. Maybe he was desperate, felt like he was running out of options.
Maybe he was even trying to protect someone else in the conspiracy.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Conspiracies are rarely just one person, right?
Right. There are often other people involved.
People who benefit from keeping things quiet.
So, Finch confessing is big, but that doesn't really solve the whole mystery.
Exactly. Still a lot of unanswered questions. What about Clara? How is she doing after the attack?
She's recovering from her injuries, but she's really shaken up.
Yeah.
She's trying to remember what happened, but the trauma has left her with these gaps in her memory.
Oh, that's awful.
And then there's Jason, remember the handyman with the fingerprints on the wrench. What happens to him after Finch confesses?
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Well, Jason's still a person in interest, right? But something feels different now. Detective Reeds questions him again, and this time, Jason seems genuinely worried about Clara. He really wants to clear his name.
It seems like Finch's confession has changed things, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Jason's past doesn't seem so important anymore.
Exactly. It's like everyone's focused on the bigger picture now, this huge web of lies. And get this, Jason actually backs up Finch's story. He says he was at the workshop that night, but not to steal anything. He saw someone outside who looked a lot like Finch, and he was going to warn Henry when the lights went out.
Wow, so that supports Finch's alibi. And maybe even suggests he wasn't alone.
Right. And remember, Clara said she saw someone arguing with Finch before everything went dark. Maybe this is the missing piece, confirming that someone else was involved.
Makes you wonder, who was this other person? What were they arguing about with Finch?
We still don't know everything, but we're getting closer. And Grace, she's still on the case. She's going over Henry's notes about the clock.
What kinds of notes?
Really detailed records of the restoration, like what types of wood and metal he used. And then she remembers something Clara said about a rare type of wood that was used in furniture back in the 1800s.
And could that would be in the stolen clock?
Exactly. Grace checks, and yes, the clock's inner workings are made from that rare wood. It's like a hidden signature, linking the clock back to its origins. And she thinks she knows where to find it. Remember Rita, the antique dealer who was rivals with Henry?
The one who might have stolen the clock?
Yep, that's her. Grace tells Detective Reeds they get a search warrant, and they head straight to Rita's shop.
Oh, I can feel the tension.
They find the clock, hidden in a back room, all covered in dust. Looks like Rita couldn't resist such a valuable piece. But here's another twist. When they dust the clock for fingerprints, they find some that aren't Rita's.
Another twist. A new suspect.
It seems like it. They run the fingerprints and get a match that no one expected.
Is it Jason's? Was he trying to frame Finch?
Nope. The fingerprints belong to Henry Kincaid.
Henry. But why?
That's the big question, isn't it? All right, so we're back, and things are about to get even more interesting in Eldridge Falls. Last time, we found out that Henry's fingerprints were on that stolen clock. It's a pretty big surprise, right?
Yeah, it's definitely unexpected.
I mean, Henry's a victim in all this, right? His wife disappeared, and now this.
It really makes you question everything we thought we knew about him.
Totally.
Yeah.
But let's go back for a sec. Remember those documents Grace found? The ones about the founding families and their illegal antique operation?
Oh, yeah, those were a big deal.
They really blew things wide open. So, as Detective Reeds investigates more, he uncovers something pretty shocking. It turns out Leela was the one who found that evidence.
Oh, wow.
She wanted to expose the truth, but that made her a target.
I see. She became a threat.
Exactly. And Henry, her husband, he was caught in the middle. It's a tough spot to be in, right? Protect your family or do what's right.
And an impossible choice.
And Henry, he chose to protect Leila. He helped cover everything up, thinking he could keep her safe. He even hid the documents in the clock, figuring that was the safest place.
But those involved, they were ruthless. They wanted those documents gone for good.
Exactly. And that brings us back to everything that happened. The clock being stolen, Clara being attacked, Finch confessing. It was all about those documents, keeping them hidden.
It all connects.
And Henry, he was carrying a lot of guilt, you know?
Yeah.
He wanted to set things right, so he took a chance. He stole the clock back, hoping to expose the truth about Leela and clear his conscience.
It was a risky move.
Oh yeah, definitely. But as things unfold, we finally find out what happened to Leela. She didn't just disappear, she was silenced by the people who wanted to protect their secrets.
How awful.
It's a sad ending, but in a way, her actions led to exposing everything. It's a bittersweet victory.
It is. So what about everyone else? What happens to them?
Well, justice is served. Finch is arrested for Leela's murder and for his role in the smuggling ring. Henry confesses his part in everything. And as for Jason,
Yeah, what about him? He seemed caught in the middle of everything.
he's cleared of any charges, and actually, his testimony helps convict Finch. It shows that even people who make mistakes deserve a second chance.
And Clara?
Well, even though she went through a lot, she recovers and decides to stay in Eldridge Falls. She wants to honor Leela's memory by continuing to research the town's history.
That's a beautiful tribute.
It is. And the whole town, they're shaken by everything that happened. But instead of ignoring it, they face it head on. They decide to heal and rebuild their community.
It's inspiring to see a community come together like that.
The clock, the one that held all those secrets, it's restored and placed in the town square. It's a reminder of the past, but also a symbol of the town moving forward.
A powerful image.
So this deep dive, it's been quite a journey, right? We started in this seemingly perfect small town, but we uncovered so much darkness.
It's a good reminder that things aren't always what they seem.
Exactly. But even with all the bad, there was good, too. People who were brave and stood up for what's right.
Yeah. And it makes you think, what secrets are hidden in our own lives, in our own towns?
And that's a question for all of us to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring and keep asking questions.